What's going on, everybody? I'm Clayton. Welcome back to Ages of Film. And today we are ranking the Evil Dead franchise. This was the winner of the last poll that I posted. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've kicked it with you freaks, but we're back in action. You guys are awesome. Let me just say that for sticking with me, for just being here, listening, watching. I greatly appreciate it. I want to say what's up to any new subscribers I have. Thank you very much for being here, for hitting that subscribe button and joining the pack. I appreciate it. Also, while you're at it, don't forget to smash that like button. Helps the channel out a lot. And if you're looking for other channels to go check out, let me throw a few at you. Movies and Beyond with Michael, The Bearded Entertainment with Eric, Brian Lomax's movie channel, and Peter Anthony's production. All those channels are badass. They all got great content over there. So go check them out. Give them a sub, give them a thumbs up, and show them some love. So, all right. Ash Williams, Evil Dead, you're up the bat. Let's get it. So I'll just say this. I like all 5 of the Evil Dead movies. So there's not a movie on this list that I don't like. I like all 5 of these. I think that Evil Dead is one of the most consistent horror franchises out there, along with Scream. I think they continually and consistently put out good quality films. So while it's not my favorite horror franchise, if you're new to my channel, I'm a Halloween guy. Michael's my boy. I will ride or die with The Shape until the end of time. But as far as consistency in the franchise, I think Evil Dead is up there with Scream for most consistent. So I do like all these movies. So just because I have a certain movie down at number 4 or number 5, don't think that, it's because I don't like the movie. I like all 5 of these. I would give all 5 of these movies 3 stars or higher. So yeah, just keep that in mind. This can be a quick video. I'm just going to go through here, knock these out, give you my ranking, just a brief reason why I have it where I have it. And hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Also stay tuned for the next poll that I drop. I let you, the people, decide on the reviews that I do and the ranking videos that I do. Democracy 101, take liberty back. All right, so here we go. We're going to get into my ranking of the Evil Dead movies. Just as a reminder, this is just my opinion. You can disagree with it. That's totally fine. Let me know your ranking in the comment section. How would you rank this franchise? Do you like this franchise? Do you think it's one of the most consistent, or are you just not a fan? Let me know in the comments, and let's get started. So coming in at number 5, at the bottom, I'm going with Evil Dead 2. Again, I like all of these movies. I do like Evil Dead 2. I think, you do get a lot of that humor from Bruce Campbell and Ash. I think he brings a lot of energy in this film. Brings a lot of charm and charisma. He kind of has to. He really carries this movie. It's really just Ash in this movie. So, he's got to bring it, and I think that he does. So I enjoy it. The only thing that kind of keeps it back a little bit for me, and why I don't have it higher, is one reason I think it goes a little too much, leans a little too much into the kind of quirky, over the top type of humor. which I don't know that I necessarily enjoy in a horror movie. I think there's a time and a place for that type of humor, and I do like that humor when it's in an appropriate setting for that type of humor. But I don't like having that type of humor in a horror movie necessarily. Now, it's not to say it's not entertaining. Bruce Campbell makes it very entertaining. He does a very good job doing that. For me, I find that the other movies I have higher than this one don't go so far, don't lean so heavily in that quirky, over the top type of humor that Evil Dead 2 does. So, and it's, with it going so heavy in that department, I feel like it loses a lot of the horror aspects as well. So for those reasons, I would have Evil Dead 2 at the bottom on my list. Coming in at number 4, I have Evil Dead Rise, the most recent of these movies. Again, I like this movie. I do. This would probably be about a 3.5 star film. I enjoy it very much. Had a very good time with it in the theaters. Enjoyed it. Had a good theatrical experience. It is rewatchable. I do think they definitely, they definitely had more horror in this one than Evil Dead 2. I think since they did the remake in 2013 and, following it up with Evil Dead Rise, both of these films seem a lot more grounded in the horror side of this franchise, which I enjoy personally. And you're going to see the remake obviously higher on this list for me. But Evil Dead Rise, I do enjoy it. I liked it. I think for me, one of the things that holds it back a little bit is I felt like they didn't quite nail the balance of humor and horror to the degree that I would have liked them to do it. Every time that I was getting into a horror vibe, they would throw some type of comedic line or comedic scene in the movie that would pull me out of the tension, the horror tension. So I think that they, in my experience, could have done a better job balancing those two. Let the tension pay off before you deliver or before you drop a humor line, a one-liner. Let the tension from the horror scene pay off first, and then come in with that humor. But when you try to add humor into the tension, it kind of cuts the tension at that point. And I felt that a number of times in this movie where I would have liked to have had the payoff from the horror first and then get a one-liner rather than getting, a one-liner or a comedic scene in the middle of a tension-building scene, if that makes sense. So that, and I don't quite find the main lady actress here as entertaining as Bruce Campbell. It's nothing against her. She does a great job. But to me, Campbell just has that energy, that charisma about him that glues me to the screen. And she doesn't quite have it to that level for me. So Evil Dead Rise, I like it. Good movie. It is rewatchable, but it comes down at number 4 for me. Coming in at number 3, I have the original Evil Dead from 1981. Love this movie, guys. Great film. Probably about a 4-star movie. Watching it back again, it still carries that rewatch value. It still has that entertainment to it, which I love. Hasn't really lost its appeal to me yet. I still have a good time with it, and that's the sign of a good movie when it holds up on repeat viewings, when you can watch it 5 or 6 times and still enjoy it and have it not lose that enjoyment factor of the film. Also, I think this one does a better job, honestly, at balancing the horror and humor than Evil Dead Rise does. I actually feel that with these original Evil Dead, you get those horror payoff moments. I think that it sets the tone for this franchise as well, making it a horror franchise. There are some comedic humor moments in it, but not nearly to the level that it would get to. They still kept it grounded in that horror veneer, but they had moments of comedy in it. But the comedy, I felt, didn't come in the middle of a tension building scene. It was either after the payoff, or it was kind of part of what made the tension, if that makes sense. So yeah, I enjoy this movie, especially for the early 1980s. I thought they did a darn good job with it, and it's still very rewatchable for me. I think Bruce Campbell solidifies himself as Ash Williams, the definitive Ash. I don't know if you could ever bring someone back as that character, because Campbell just he makes that character part of himself, so, and just becomes iconic with it. So yeah, I love the first Evil Dead movie. It's my number 3, just 2 above it. Bringing us into the top 2, my number 2, I'm going with Evil Dead Remake from 2013. Love this movie, guys. Have a blast with it. I think it does top the original, because I think this one is the scariest of the 5. I know it's arguable, and I know some people would disagree with me, and that's fine. But for me, I do think this one is the scariest, and that's why it works for me, and that's why I have such a good time with it. I'm a horror guy. When I come to a horror movie or a horror franchise, I want that horror feeling. I want that horror setting in the film. And this one gives me that the most of these 5 films. I love the direction of it. I love the score. I think is on point. The cinematography, they do some really cool things with the cinematography in this movie that really work. You still get a lot of the feeling and the vibes of the original in this one. You can still kind of see the imprint of the original Evil Dead in this film, which is the sign of a good remake. You do something different, do something fresh, but still leave the imprint of the original there. Still be able to see the original film in the remake. Hopefully that makes sense. And for me, I get that with Evil Dead remakes. So I thought the performances were good in this movie as well. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I have a really good time with it. So Evil Dead Remake is my number 2. But my number 1, obviously the only one left, is of course Army of Darkness. This did make my top 50 favorite horror list that I did a while back. I love this movie. This is my favorite of the franchise. Here's where I might slightly be contradicting myself a little bit, but one of the things that I do love with this movie is the humor. I do think the humor works. I know some people would argue that this is more of a comedy than a horror. I would disagree. Number 1, because it's part of a horror franchise, a franchise that has already solidified itself as a horror franchise. Secondly, I do think the tone of the film is still a horror tone throughout the film. I think it's Ash Williams, and I think it's Bruce Campbell that brings so much humor to the film. But I just find it so incredibly entertaining, so well paced. There's not a moment of weakness in this film as far as like dullness. Like I am thoroughly engaged the entire time. I love the pacing of this film. It's got some of the best one-liners in the film. I mean, you could just go off for, till Kingdom Come, dropping one-liners from this film. So I think it's the most quotable movie of the franchise. I think it's the best, most well-paced of the franchise. I have the best viewing experience with this one. I think it's got some of the best action scenes in it. I just think it brings all these elements together: action, horror, comedy, all together, and even some romance and some love in there. I think that it brings all those genres together and blends it really well and makes it work really well. And it gives me the best viewing experience. Is it the most well made? Is it, the scariest? No, it's not. But is it my favorite? Does it give me the best viewing experience? Yes, it does. So of these 5 movies, Army of Darkness is my favorite. But what say you? Let me know your ranking of the Evil Dead franchise in the comment section. Also, stay tuned for the next poll whenever that comes. And hope you guys enjoy this video. It's good to kick it with you guys again. And until next time, you know what it is. Kick it and rock on.